In 1978, as Mike Tyson found himself one day in the office of this social worker by the name of Bobby Stewart. Bobby Stewart said to himself, I used to be a professional fighter as a boxer. And I can tell that this young man has raw potential when it comes to making it to the top. What can I do to simply help this young man yes, salvage what still salvageable, salvage what basically we can save as far as his life is concerned. How about I take this brute force and bring it to a place where it can be exposed to the finest when it comes to trainers, and they can see how we can mold him, help him sculpt something out of this mess that seems to be his portion right now. So it takes him in 1978 when he was barely 12 years old. It takes him to Castamato. He said to Castamato, I'm bringing to you this young man who seems to be running into trouble, like basically, we have no idea. And if he keeps doing that, unfortunately, the future can be really, less than glamorous, and we cannot predict exactly where it's going to end. Either it's going to end up in the cemetery or it's going to end up in jail. So we don't want us to find a way to stop this. So he goes to Castamato to say, this young man has potential. And Castamato simply say, yes, he has potential. But in order for us to see his potential, we have to take this young man, test him. How about we give him a pair of gloves and put him into the ring, and we're going to get you as a social worker, Bobby Stewart, because you have experience when it comes to being a boxer. You are a professional. Once it's maybe different weight categories, but I can trust you. Skill is skills. If you know how to move around this young man, you know what to do. So he gets into a ring with this young Mike Tyson. Of course, Bobby Stewart, who used to be a professional, so he knows exactly how to maneuver and outmaneuver anyone in the ring. He gets into the ring. Before you know it, young Mike Tyson comes at him charging. He comes charging because he's relying basically on his strength, raw strength. Before you know it, of course, Bobby Stewart realizes that this young man has strength, so let me now start using my superior skills to simply maneuver around him. He simply start out-maneuvering Mike Tyson, and before you know, simply say, no, I need to teach him a lesson. Otherwise, this young man will simply keep coming at me as if he can basically challenge me. And before you know it, young Mike Tyson is bleeding. Now, from the ring, from the outside, Castamato is watching. He simply say, now that this young man is bleeding, what is he going to do? He's only barely 12 years old. What is he going to do in a ring with a match season boxer? What is he going to do? So they were just wondering. But behold, this young Mike Tyson would not stop actually charging. He kept coming back as if he was completely confident that yes, intuitively understood that yes, boxing was simply a mental game. He was not going to be defeated as far as the man was concerned. By the time the sparring was concerned, Castamato goes to Bobby Stewart and simply says, Bobby Stewart, I think you were right. This young man has a potential. I'm going to keep him under my wings. He's going to become my protege, and the rest is history. But here's now things are going to go in the background. Castamato says, yes, I know how to train people. I know how to turn people with talent into potential champions. But I don't have the skills it takes to actually manage a stallion, to manage someone like Mike Tyson. So I need someone who has business acumen in the background to come and help me manage this potential known as Mike Tyson. So he turns to his friend, Jim Jacobs, and another one by the name of William Darcy. He said to them, I'm looking for someone to actually manage this young boy. The two gentlemen say, yeah, we can help you because we have what it takes. We have basically the knowledge of this business, number one. We have basically what it takes, the understanding of this business, number two. We also have what it takes to actually have the insight to know exactly how to intuitively move the pieces across this board, the chessboard. So we know exactly how to do that, and we can also have some foresight as to what the future entails for this young man. So they start managing this young boy, and of course, true to form, yes, Castamato managed to turn Mike Tyson into a contender, and by the time he was close to 19 or 18, he was already challenging the top. But in the background, what was happening? This was the long before the internet. In the background, what was happening? Jim Jacobs and his buddy Bill, they knew exactly what to do. They said, we know exactly how to move the pieces across the chessboard. So basically, we know how to address the visible and the spoken issue, or the visible or spoken expectation of the people or the public looking to be entertained through boxing. Number one. Number two, we have basically the understanding. So we basically know how to address the visible yet unspoken expectation of the crowd out there as far as the type of champion they want to see. Number two, so basically we have the understanding. Number three, we have what it takes to address the invisible, unspoken expectation as far as the crowd is concerned. We have basically the ability to intuit, or to have the intuition to move the pieces across the board in a way that's going to be appealing to the crowds out there. Last but not least, we have basically some level of understanding as far as what the future can actually bring for this young man. So we're going to have the foresight to simply move him or manage him in a way that is going to become a household name as far as the future is concerned. And one of the key things they did back in the day was completely brilliant, was the following. So every single time Mike Tyson would actually fight someone, they would basically get the crew to actually record everything. Then they'll run with the tape of the fight. They'll run to the editing room and simply edit the tape in a way that's simply going to highlight Mike Tyson was simply able to knock up his opponent. And we take this tape, the highlight of the knockout, and send it out to all the local journalists within the country to let them know, yeah, you know what, as far as boxing is concerned, there's a new sheriff in town and his name is Mike Tyson. So it was basically putting everyone on notice, and slowly but surely his name started becoming a household name. I used to be in Africa back in the days, but even in Africa, we started now seeing videotapes with highlights of this thing, phenomenon known as Mike Tyson. It was completely unlike anything we're used to. Mike Tyson was simply brute force. It was simply come trying to figure exactly how to find an opening, and before it simply knock the person out. It was done with such a savagery that it will not leave you indifferent. This basically, they knew how to manage the visible and spoken expectation. They knew how to manage the visible and unspoken expectation when it comes to certain things that we wanted to see as far as the champion is concerned. He had to be able to defeat the opponent, but he still had to be a man that was simply still out of trouble. He also knew how to intuitively manage Mike Tyson in a way that they knew, yes, they need to also address the invisible and unspoken expectation of the business. Basically be able to keep Mike Tyson away from certain people, because they wanted to be able to control that, because they knew that all kind of vultures, they be simply preying on Mike Tyson because they want to be able to control now the person. So they knew that. But what they did not see was basically the foresight that it would take to actually outmaneuver everyone that did not have that. And that's how eventually Jim Jacobs and his buddy Bill came to be outmaneuvered by someone by the name of Don King, and of course the rest is history.